How's it going, everybody? Francesco Bologna, also known as Biosoft Studios. Today we're going to be doing something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. This is a tier list, and so what we've got here, we're going to be doing a tier list of Toby Robin today. I've always wanted to do a tier list. I've never had the chance to do so, but now that I have time, and because Toby Robin is a shorter series as opposed to Virus AI, at least with this I can actually have fun and do a whole tier list of basically main characters, supporting characters, and of course enemies as well. And so just a quick disclaimer, this is going to be my personal opinion, and I'll try to have this tier list public at a later date, but we're going to get started. So let's start off with our first character here. This is Wolfad. This is the main villain from Terry and the Kingdom of Stone. So, Wolfad kidnapped Terry and basically turned her into a gargoyle. So, basically, Toby and her friends tried everything in their power to get Terry back. Unfortunately, Wolfad was cheating in the game, so because of the fact that he was gonna be attempting to keep Terry for as long as possible, I'd say I'd put him in a B tier. Next, Alexandra. So this character, she's pretty much the bully in the George Grayson stories. I would say that Alex is, she can be a handful at sometimes, but you know what? At the end of the day, she could still be helpful. So I think I'm going to put her also in a B tier. All right, Bess, one of Nancy Drew's best friends. She made an appearance multiple times. She also played a character in Peril of the Princess Guards, where she played Wendy. So for Bess, I think I'm going to have to put her, because she is a supportive character, I think I'm going to put her in B tier, but I'm going to put her right in front of Alex. Okay, Bob from SMG4. He's a cameo character, so basically he was there as an announcer. Obviously, Bob has much more presence in SMG4 as well as in Virus AI as a comedic character. So, unfortunately for Bob, I'm going to have to put him down in D tier because we've only seen him once in Toby Robin Adventures and then never again. Okay, Chula, the henchman from the Candy Cane episode. So, Chula basically, he pretty much did nothing in the entire episode. He just assisted King Kane with, his usual dirty work. So I think I'm probably going to put him lower than Bob, unfortunately. Okay, so George, another friend of Nancy Drew. George also, just like Bess, they both had equal screen time together in both Peril of the Princess Guards and in the Stranger Than Fiction story arc, so I think I'm going to put them next to each other. So, yeah, that makes much more sense to have them next to each other. Because, they both shared the exact same screen time, they both were part of the same story arcs, and they're both very supportive characters. Okay, so let's move on to a villain now. Let's move on. I believe his name was Murphy. So he was one of the henchmen from the first ever crossover adventure between Toby, Katie, and Olive. So he was basically one of the henchmen, and because he pretty much did less work than was expected for a henchman, I think I'm probably gonna put him to D tier, but I'm going to put him at the top because, he did carry some stuff during the episode, so that's fair. 88 Teeth. So this is Jason Bryant's first adventure when he was trying to protect Patricia from an armed robbery, armed with a gun. So, yeah, you could tell he is much more dangerous than Wolfad. So I'd say I'd probably put him in B tier, but I'd put him at the top of B tier. Last I checked, he was in... Albert. So last I checked, he was in the the first adventure when George Grayson and Olive Cooper teamed up. And this was at a candy factory, also known as Candy Calamity. So I would say for this guy, Albert, I think I'm going to probably put him in C tier. Because, I mean, yes, he was a main villain. He didn't really do much as far as being a main villain was concerned in the series. But you know what? At least he had a plan, but he didn't really execute it properly. Next, Alex Hanover. Similar to Alexandra, she's pretty much a handful, except, however, Alex actually did have much more screen time, so I'm probably going to put her in B tier, but I'm definitely going to put her higher than Alexandra. Alright, Alex G. Castor, the Beaver. Already made his appearance twice in 2 episodes of Toby Robin, one being The Reptilian Brotherhood, The Tree Troubling Trek, written by Zebd789. So I would say that this guy is definitely very supportive towards Toby and her friends. Already helped them a lot in multiple scenarios and situations. I would definitely put this guy in A tier. Alright, next we've got Artoff. Artoff the Ant. Basically, Artoff is actually one of the pets of Vic Dosk-Kozlov. So in the episode March of the Ants, Vic was actually riding Artoff during the battle against Carl Strombone. So Carl Strombone was the industrialist who wanted to basically destroy the kingdom of the Ants, and Artoff was basically the pet that Vic was riding during the battle. So Artoff is definitely assistful, very helpful. However, I will have to put him in B tier at the top because unfortunately Artoff was only seen in 1 episode, sadly. Okay, let's go for the next one. Axar. Axar is just a character to provide exposition. So unfortunately for him, he's just going to be in D tier. He's definitely going to be above Bob because, I mean, this character was only there just to provide exposition to Peril of the Princess cards. He doesn't really serve a purpose other than he just shows up in 2 episodes, but he doesn't really do anything, to be honest with you. Alright, so next we've got Betty. Betty, the wife of Albert. I would say put her next to him because, I mean, so they were both involved with the Candy Calamity, but in the end, at the end of the day, they pretty much, all they did was just kidnap George and Olive, tried to compress them with the machine. Actually, you know what? Because of the compression with the machine, I think they should both go in B tier at this point. And that was actually something that was brought up. It was just an oversight that they actually tried to murder one of the 2 characters, or maybe even both. I mean, alright, so let's go with this guy, Bulk, a friend of Murphy, and who was also a henchman in the Hotel Hazards episode. So I think for this guy, he's also a henchman, and so he actually did a lot more for the main villain, and so he's definitely going to be the first C tier here. Okay, Charlotte. She was also a character in Peril of the Princess Guards. She also made an appearance in the Stranger Than Fiction episode. And just like Bess and George, she also shared some screen time. However, she unfortunately shared less screen time as opposed to the other 2 because she only showed up for the last episode. So I think for her, I'm probably going to put her at the bottom of those 3. So there we have it. So we got Bess, George, and Charlotte. So yeah, that's the trio of the Peril of the Princess Guards. Next, Clara Pickens. Very supportive. She does put up a fight. And similar to Alexander Castor, she does know how to watch over George. So I think for her, I'm definitely going to put her in A tier between Alex and her, because at the end of the day, they both show physical strength. They are both powerful. Okay, so next we have Connor. Connor Fitzgerald. Basically, he is a very supportive character. He cares a lot about his daughter, Jody. So I think for him, I'm probably going to put him in B tier. But I think I'm going to put him under Artoff, because unlike Connor Fitzgerald, Artoff actually does carry a weapon. So as you can see, he's got a spear, and he cares a lot for Vic during the battle. So that's good. Then we got this guy, Captain Keegan. So we got Captain Keegan, who was seen in Peril of the Princess Guards. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to put him next to Axar, because he only provided exposition. Actually, you know what? I think he probably did a lot more, in the sense that he actually did help the ladies escape. So I'm probably going to put him in C tier, because actually, I think I'm going to put him in B tier next to Artoff, because yes, he did assist in the Battle of the Peril of the Princess Guards. He did do a lot, but he still did not do as much as Artoff in the March of the Ants. Okay, next, we're going to go on to one of the teachers from the Teacher's Lounge. Okay, so this is a character from Virus AI. He is very, very well known for being involved with the kidnapping of Liz Elizabeth Rose. And yeah, he was very involved with the majority of Virus AI. Unfortunately, though, I would have to say that he's definitely in a lower tier. However, I would say that he's definitely in C tier, because he actually did a lot of damage to Toby, even though it wasn't as bad as the characters in B tier. So I would say he's definitely C tier. So yeah, let's move on. All right, Madam Crowdstrike, former villain from Virus AI, actually tried to have the computers terminated. So yeah, we're definitely getting into termination here now at this point. So this is actually the first villain to actually commit murder in the Toby Robin series, in the sense that she was willing to mass murder every single computer with the blue screen of death. So because of this, and because of her nature and how hell-bent she is on basically blue screening as many computers as possible, she definitely deserves the A tier spot. So yeah. Next, we got the Daleks. The Daleks from Stranger Than Fiction. So yeah, we've seen these characters from Doctor Who. The fact that they showed up in the final iteration of Stranger Than Fiction, and the fact that they are deadly, but not as deadly as Crowdstrike and her villainacy, I would definitely put them at the top of B tier. Because yes, they do damage, but they don't do damage to kill. Alright, next, let's move on to the next character, Danielle. So Danielle actually did make an appearance in the Toby Robin story arc, The Glass Ruby and the Lair of the Octagon. So she did appear in these episodes, and because of her supportiveness and all that stuff, I would definitely put her in B tier. Okay, next, Dean, a henchman from the Lair of the Octagon and Glass Ruby story arc. I would say that this guy definitely did a lot of damage here by kidnapping basically every single junior detective that showed up. However, did not do as much damage as the teachers, so I would say I'm probably going to put him in C tier, but at the bottom of C tier. Okay, next, Deanna. One of the main girls from Lair of the Octagon, Glass Ruby, and she actually did have a couple of episodes of her own. the fact that she's a very supportive character, very helpful to Toby, and very spicy, if I may add. I would definitely put her with A tier. Alright, next, let's move on to Dennis Blair, Terry's brother. So Dennis Blair, very supportive character. He showed up many times in Toby Robin Adventures, always willing to lend his sister a helping hand. And because of this, and the fact that he has more episodes under his belt, definitely an A tier. However, the fact that he does put up a fight, and the fact that he does hold his own to help his sister and everybody else around him, he's definitely higher than Alex. So he's definitely A tier material. Okay, next, let's move on to... Is that Diana? Is that Diana? Yes, Diana from Diana's Secret. So basically, it is revealed that she is a gargoyle, and the fact that she did show up in 2 episodes, that being Diana's Secret and Terry and the Kingdom of Stone. So because of this, and the fact that she is a very supportive character, I would put her in B tier, and I would probably put her right there next to Bess. So there you have it. We have Diana. And next, let's move on to Doris, Margaret's sister. Margaret's little sister and Jodie's best friend. So the fact that she also appeared in a couple of episodes, and the fact that she did do a lot of stuff to help her sister and Toby during their mysteries, I would definitely put her around, I think I'll put her around, definitely, yeah, I put her in B tier. Alright, next, let's move on. Dr. Moon, the caretaker of Charlotte in Stranger Than Fiction. Unfortunately, Dr. Moon only had a bit of screen time, was only there for rescue mission to be rescued by the girls, and only provided some exposition. So I would have to put Dr. Moon next to Axar. So sorry, Dr. Moon, but you didn't really do much. Alright, let's move on. Doctor Who, the main protagonist, along with Patricia Grant Thornwood from Stranger Than Fiction. The fact that he showed up in 3 episodes definitely shows that he does support his fellow detectives, and the fact that he was able to see his adventure through the end, I would definitely put him around... Yeah, I think definitely around A tier. But I think I'm probably going to put him right in front of Alex. But not in front of Dennis, because Dennis has been in more episodes than Doctor Who. Okay, next character. Ebby. Ebby from the Christmas episode. So basically, his goal was to steal all the Christmas presents and let everybody have a humbug Christmas. So, Ebby, I would probably put him in C tier, but not as good as the teacher, because unlike Ebby, who wanted to steal Christmas presents and everything, the teacher actually did commit drugging. So, yeah. As of now, the teacher, number 1, he is still in the top of C. Alright. So, actually, you know what? I think he should be in B. Like, I think he should be right above... Yeah, he should be right above here. So, right next to 88 Teeth. Because, mind you, he's armed with a syringe and he's armed with a gun. I believe this is Emily. Emily, a supportive character from the Lair of the Octagon and, of course, the Glass Ruby. Unfortunately for her, she did a little bit of work, and because of this, I will have to put her in a C tier. The same for Emma. Ensign Sunia, she was there to only provide some exposition for the majority of the Peril of the Princess Guard. So I'm probably going to have to put her next to Dr. Moon here. So yeah. So here's what I got so far for tier list of Toby Robin. Okay, so let's move on next to Erica. Erica actually had much more screen time as opposed to the other girls. So I would say for this character, Erica, I would probably put her above Danielle because she is also part of the same story, but she had much more screen time. All right, so next, Father Patrick, the new priest of the parish. So him, provided just exposition for an episode. Yeah, so I think he's probably definitely going to be a D tier. This guy, Yusuke Jumba, the main villain of Toby Robin Adventures. So let's see. He swallowed up girls, impersonated himself as another character, sent spiders after Toby, which, by the way, Toby's biggest fear is obviously spiders and what have you. So, and also he did threaten to kill Vic by turning himself into a dragon in the epic two-part battle, Yusuke Jumba's Mask, which saw UC's return to Greendale. So because of all this, and given the amount of lengths that Yusuke Jumba is willing to go... Oh, and also, I should mention, Yusuke Jumba also almost had Toby killed in her own nightmares. So, Nightmare in Greendale, Yusuke Jumba returned to invade her nightmares, and obviously, if you die in your nightmare, you die in real life. So, yeah. Yusuke Jumba, very threatening, very menacing. He's probably the first S tier. Okay, let's move on. Assistant G. Yeah, I won't really say much. Assistant G, exposition. So, doesn't really do much in the episode. Let's move on now. George Grayson. George Grayson, a star of his own right. And the fact that he did have multiple episodes, and the fact that he did assist Toby multiple times during the seasons, I will have to put Mr. George Grayson in definitely A tier, and I'll probably put him next to Alexander Castor. Actually, you know what? I got a better idea. Put him with Clara. So yeah. At least now those two are together. Actually, you know what? Clara. I'll put him with Clara. He and Clara, they're both electric together, and Clara packs a bigger punch. So that's pretty neat. Alright, the Golem. The Golem. The Golem that tried to suffocate Toby in the Grasp of the Golem episode. The fact that this statue attempted to commit murder, I would have to put this character in B tier next to the Dalek. At least the Dalek actually fired weapons. The Golem just pretty much squeezed a character to death. So let's move on now. Godfried. Godfried, basically one of the villains from the Jenny LeClue Detective Vu crossover. So the fact that he was there, the fact that he was very supportive towards the Hair Doctor and Henrich, I would say that he's definitely in B tier. But the fact that he had more involvement in the episode, he's definitely going to be up there in B tier. Hank Harvest Mouse. Okay, this character, even though he appeared in only one episode, he's obviously Preppy Marshmouse's boyfriend. And the fact that he did pack a punch in the Toby Robin episodes, I would definitely say that Hank is definitely B tier, except I'll put him over Doris. Because yes, he packs a punch, but he's not as strong as the villains. But, I mean, It's better than nothing, you know? The boss of Mr. Fitzgerald. I would have to say for this guy, exposition dump. At least he was there for a majority of the episode, even though it wasn't. Actually, you know what? Put him at the top. Because he was there for 2 episodes. So, just like Axar, those two are there for exposition dumping, but at least they both had more screen time. Alright. Henrich. The main henchman of the Hair Doctor. So, Henrich was responsible for turning Toby into an animal. Responsible for unleashing animals in Greendale Park. And, let's see, a couple of tree downing scenarios. And not to mention was involved with the latest crime involving Katie Liggett. So the fact that he did so much and still managed to get away with it for 95% of the time, I'd put him in S tier. He's definitely a henchman to watch over. Okay, so next, we're going to move on to Herb, one of the villains from Wrath of the Wayward Witch, the episode when Jody got kidnapped. So Herb is definitely a henchman. I would say he's as big as Albert and Betty, so I'd say put him in B tier. He actually did try to commit murder by helping the Wayward Witch dip Toby into a cauldron of goop. So the fact that he did so, he definitely deserves the B tier, but not as big as Albert and Betty. So, all right, the Hair Doctor. Basically, similar to Yusuke Jamba, the other villain that has made most of the appearances in Toby Robin Adventures, and the fact that, as with Henrich, the fact that they shared screen time together, doing basically everything together, like turning Toby into an animal, the tearing down of the trees, the kidnapping of Katie, Caitlin, and Olive Cooper. The fact that they all did this together, they definitely all S tier. Alright, Honey the Cat. Honey the Cat from Stranger Than Fiction. Let's see here. I would definitely put her in probably B tier because she did support the characters, but yeah, I'd put her next to Erica, to be honest with you. Okay, Indus. Indus the Alien. So this character showed up in Mystery of the Moonraker, which was by far, still to this day, one of my favorite episodes that I've ever worked on for Season 2. And this was also Indus's final appearance, as he originally made an appearance in Virus AI as a villain. And the fact that he showed up in Toby Robin to be given the shaft, well, let's just say that Indus was definitely a villain. However, he was probably a villain that needed assistance with carrying out his plans, and so I would put him probably next to Wolfad, except I'll probably put him above Wolfad because at least he actually tried to have Vic killed, but not in the sense that he succeeded. So, yeah, there's that. Alright, next character. Alright, James Moran, the main villain from Hotel Hazards, the first crossover episode featuring Toby, Katie, and Olive. So this guy, unlike Murphy and Bulk, he was the main villain, and he actually tried to place a bomb to actually have the trio killed. So the fact that he did so, and unlike the Daleks, who actually tried to have the characters murdered, he actually tried to plant a bomb, and he was ready to straight up murder the three characters. So because of this, I would probably put him in definitely A tier because of the lengths that he was willing to go to pretty much end Toby, Katie, and Olive's life in simply one episode. Okay, next, let's move on to Jason. Jason Bryant, the second supporting character to ever show his face in a Toby Robin Adventures episode to assist Toby in her mission. Now, Jason, I'm not gonna lie, although yes, he can be helpful sometimes. I mean, if you actually watch the episodes and you actually think about it, he's kind of a jerk to Toby in the sense that Toby does most of the work for him and he just admires it, except for the time when Toby got sick and he had to take over for her. I would probably put him in a B tier, but definitely lower than Charlotte. So, he does get the job done, but I wouldn't call him a supportive character unless he actually did more work. To which he did one time, except I think, you know what? I think I'm going to probably change his rank. I think I'm going to probably put him with... Yeah, I think I'm going to put him next to Diana. So, yes, he is supportive, but he's also kind of a jerk. So, let's move on. Okay, so Jenny LeClue from Jenny LeClue Detective Who, the crossover. Alright, so Jenny did have a major arc in the crossover. She was very helpful to Toby. And so, because of this, I think I'm definitely going to put her in A tier. Alright, let's move on. I believe this elf had a name. Yeah, there we go. So here we have Jeremy, the elf that assisted Toby in the Christmas episode of Toby Robin Adventures. I would definitely put him right above Danielle in B tier. Okay, next we got Jessica. Jessica, I'll probably put her in C tier. I mean, she got captured and had to be rescued, so, I mean, what else is there to say? Okay, JJ Morgan, the new principal of Sacred Heart Elementary. So, this character, unfortunately, was responsible for accusing Vic for a crime that he never committed, and, he ended up having to see the error of his ways, but the fact that he handled the situation poorly, I would have to say he would definitely be C tier. Because principals are not supposed to overreact for crimes that have not been committed by students. So the fact that he did that, and the fact that he showed poor sportsmanship during Vic's trial to prove his innocence, unfortunately, JJ Morgan deserves that tier, sadly. Okay, next up, Karine. Karine, she showed much more screen time than the other girls, and the fact that she is a very mysterious character, and you probably ask yourself, is she hero or is she villain? Because, you know, you see her working with the villain, you see her working with the hero most of the time. Which one is it? So that's a fascinating thing about Karine. The fact that she is this specific character, I'm definitely going to put her in B tier. Probably next to Jason. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for Karine. Katie Liggett. Katie, one of the characters in the crossover, and then in season 5, she pretty much had, 3 story arcs? of her character. And of course, Toby was backseat driving because obviously Toby wanted to come along for the ride. So the fact that she did get involved and the fact that she did solve 3 cases, I would have to put Katie in top A tier. Because let's face it, I mean, Katie had a lot of screen time in just one season. She did show up in the one crossover of Hotel Hazards, but the fact that she solved lots of mysteries, but not as much as Toby, I mean, she still deserves the A tier spot. And the top A tier spot, if I may add. But I think I'm probably going to put her above Dennis because she hasn't killed anybody. All right, Keith. Keith from Jenny LeClue. So let's look at this guy. I mean, he was basically there as a supportive character for Jenny. Basically, he pretty much sold coffee to the civilians, helped her out in a couple of jams. I would say Keith would probably be B tier and definitely above Honey the Cat. So yeah, let's move on. Narc. The first villain in Toby Ramen Adventures. Well, besides UC, Narc was like the first sub-villain. Like the first sub-villain to have his own episode. So, I mean, basically you have Yusuke Jamba, who is basically the final boss, the fact that he showed up in episode 3, and then you have Narc, which was basically the first, quote, enemy of the seasons. So I would say Narc is definitely, I would probably put him in B tier, high B tier, because of the fact that he actually threatened to eat Toby. So, and the fact that the amount of lengths that he was willing to go to achieve this. Okay, next, let's move on to Krista. Krista, one of the main henchmen from Lair of the Octagon, and of course, the Glass Ruby. So the fact that this character, and of course the character next to him, that being, what's her name? The fact that Krista and Lauren were both involved with the Lair of the Octagon and the Glass Ruby, I would put them definitely in B tier. Now, what I would do is I would put them probably below the teachers. However, I'll put Krista below Lauren because Lauren actually did try to basically commit adultery against Deanna. And unfortunately, because of this, she definitely gets the higher position as opposed to Krista. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Next, let's move on to the next character here. We've got another Lauren. Lauren, this character, yeah, I'm going to put her next to Emma in C tier. All right, Liz Elizabeth Rose. Basically, she is the main leading lady in Virus AI. Only showed up for one episode, though, in the Toby Ramen Adventure series. I would say definitely a B tier in the sense that she was very helpful. And the fact that she did a lot more than Hank Harvest now. So I'm definitely going to put Liz in B tier. All right, Makarov. The guy who basically tried to evict Vic by force using police officers to do his dirty work. He's a main villain in Virus AI. Actually had R4 tried to have him killed multiple times. Creator of bioweapons in Virus AI. And yeah, he was involved in a lot of dastardly deeds. So for this character, I would probably put him definitely in A tier. because he actually did try to have characters killed, but he did not do the dirty work himself. I mean, he did kill a couple of his own henchmen, but I mean, does he really deserve the S tier spot? Probably not. All right, Madame Zoo. Madame Zoo from Katie Stuck in the 1800s. So she's definitely a villain that showed up, I believe, twice in the season. I would probably put her at the bottom of B tier. I mean, mind you, she's pretty much. Actually, you know what? I'll put her in C tier because, mind you, she's pretty much a nuisance in the Toby Robin Adventures episodes. Actually, you know what? I'll put her above. She actually did try to block Caitlin from reaching Katie, so she was pretty much an obstacle in and of itself. So because of this, actually, you know what? She should be next to Abby. Okay, so next, let's move on to Mallory, a character who hasn't made her debut yet. In fact, she is a character from the new episode, Attack of the Robomaids. So, spoiler alert. Yeah, she does know how to pack a punch. And because of this, she definitely belongs in B tier. Definitely above Liz. Because she knows how to... Actually, you know what? She should be in A tier, to be honest. Definitely above Jenny LeClue. Because even though she appears in one episode, she does know how to pack a punch. Alright, let's move on. Martha. Exposition dumping. So, yeah. Enough said. Matt. Jason's brother. He actually assisted Vic in the Battle of St. Francis when Makarov tried to take over Vic's home and tried to have him evicted. So, for this guy, Matt, the fact that he was able to hold his own, however, unlike Mallory, he actually did carry a gun. So, I would definitely put Mac, put him with Dennis, because they both know how to carry weapons. So, but yeah, the only thing is Matt had less screen time than Dennis, so it makes sense that they have the A tier list. Okay, next, actually, you know what? Put him with B tier, because he did have less screen time than Dennis. So, but he is still able to carry a gun. So I think he should definitely take the top list for B tier. All right. Melee. Melee, the supportive character from the Katie Stuck in the 1800s story arc. So I would say I'd put her next to Keith. Because yes, she's supportive, but would she be as strong as Toby's mother, Caitlin? I'm not really quite sure, but I guess we'll have to see what happens once the episode is again released. So, yeah, I'd put her in B tier. We've got Miller, another villain from Wrath of the Wayward Witch. I think I'll probably put him next to, who was that other guy? I'd probably put him next to Herb, because they were both involved in the same fiasco. Alright. Next, let's move on to Miss Mullen. So, Mrs. Mullen, very supportive character. I would definitely put her in C tier. However, I think I'll put her just above Danielle. Actually, you know what? Put her here. Because at least she's supportive. Actually, you know what? No. This looks better. Because she's supportive, and at least she was able to assist Toby when she needed it. All right. Molly, the Wayward Witch. Basically, she is the main villain of Wrath of the Wayward Witch. So the fact that she attempted to have Toby and Matt murdered with the Cauldron of Goop, I would put her next to Narc. Actually, you know what? Put her above Narc because she actually did attempt the murder. So yeah, that's a big no-no in the Toby Robin Toby verse. Okay, next let's move on. Let's go to Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Jarvis was actually a henchman in the Katie Liggett saga, The Plain Truth. So for this character, let's see. The fact that he did sell out Piper for his own nefarious deeds, and the fact that Mr. Pendergast actually, the fact that he tried to shoot down Piper in the story arc, I would say he's definitely with Molly, the Wayward Witch, because he's actually armed with an airplane. Okay, so let's move on. Mr. Mullen. Yeah, I'll just put him next to Miss Mullen. At least they're together, so yeah. Okay, Mr. Twilly. Mr. Twilly, the one who actually tried to have Toby murdered with a Minotaur. So yeah, I think I'm going to put him above Nork because he actually did attempt to kill. So I put him here in B tier. Alright. Mr. Potter, the very first NPC to show up in Toby Robin Adventures. The fact that he did show up in most of the episodes, the fact that he showed up as a very supportive role, I would definitely put him in B tier above Elizabeth. So the fact that he's there, the fact that he's a supportive character, the fact that he is the supportive NPC definitely shows that he has a presence within the episode. Alright, so next, Miss Twilly. Miss Twilly. Supportive. I definitely put her next to Keith. Alright, Myra. Myra, the main villain from Toby Robin Adventures. The fact that she showed up in the Stranger Than Fiction, Lair of the Octagon, and Glass Ruby. The fact that she showed up in 3 story arcs, armed with a gun, threatening to kill, and the fact that she almost managed to get away with it. I would probably put her. I'll probably put her above Makarov in A tier. So yeah. Next, Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew, the legend. Let's see here. She showed up only in Stranger Than Fiction story arc, so she did do a lot. She did do some work, and because of this, I'll have to put her next to Jenny. So at least she has the A tier spot. Old Man Jenkins, the specialist. Basically, in Virus AI, he's an assassin, and the fact that he does wield a shotgun, and also the fact that he tried to have Toby and Terry killed one time. So, because of all this, and the fact that his nature is shoot first, ask questions later, I would have to put him in A tier. So definitely above Myra, because even though he only appeared in 2 episodes, he was actually threatening enough to actually attempt murder on Toby and Terry. So the fact that he showed up like that, I would have to say he's definitely up there in A tier. Olive Cooper. in almost the same amount of time as Katie Liggett. It's just the difference is I think Olive had, I believe, 2 extra episodes of herself. So I think for Olive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her above Katie. So they both share the A tier spot. Alright, next, let's move on to Patricia Grant Thornwood. So Patricia, I would say she's definitely up there. I mean, she was there in majority of the early seasons of Toby Robin. The fact that she had her own story arc in Stranger Than Fiction. The fact that she was a victim in The Adventures of Jason Bryant. So the fact that she's up there, I'm definitely going to put her next to George. So next to George Grayson, we got Patricia Grant Thornwood. Okay, let's move on to the next character, Paula Polestar. Paula Polestar from Earthbound and also from Stranger Than Fiction. Okay, so Paula, I'm probably gonna have to put her above Honey the Cat. B tier. So, with that out of the way, let's move on to Penny Gadget. Penny Gadget, also from Stranger Than Fiction. She actually did a lot of tech work, and so because of this, I'll probably put her above Bess. So yeah, I think that makes more sense. She did a lot of work. She did a lot of heavy lifting with a computer. So the fact that she was there during the whole thing, I mean, she definitely deserves that spot. All right, Pete, also known as the Minotaur. Pete the Minotaur. The fact that he tried to kill Toby by mistake, if I may add. The fact that he did become helpful to Toby. I would definitely put him in... Let's see, I'll put him in B tier, just below Mr. Potter. Actually, you know what? Put him above Mr. Potter, because he does still have strength, which is what he used to become a Minotaur. Alright, let's move on. We got the police. They pretty much showed up for a majority of the episodes. They saved the day a couple of times, but they are also corrupt because of the St. Francis battle, and so because of this, I'm gonna have to put them in C tier. Because yes, they're corrupt, yes, they know how to assist, but they also carry a gun, which makes them very dangerous. Okay, so next we have... Okay, so we got Robbie here, another elf from the Christmas episode. Exposition dumping, yeah. Robomaid. Probably one of the most comedic villains in Toby Robin Adventures. The fact that she tried to have them cleaned multiple times, that being Toby, Mallory, and Lily. Spoiler alert, she does show up again in Attack of the Robomaids. And the fact that she did try to be as mischievous as possible, I would say put her in A tier, just below Makarov. So yeah, Robomaid is definitely up there. Next, let's move on to this guy, Roger McCormick. Exposition dumping. So I'll just move on. Okay, so we got Al Stone. Al Stone of the Mafia. So this character, he did show up multiple times in Toby Robin Adventures. He showed up consistently in Virus AI. He does carry a gun. And I would say he definitely was responsible for attempted murder. But I would definitely put him above Makarov. So Al Stone is definitely a dangerous villain. You do not want to mess with him. Sam Stevens. Very good friend of George Grayson. So, Sam Stevens, if I were to rank him, I'd put him probably below Hank Harvest Mouse. Actually, you know what? I'll put him above because unlike Hank, Sam actually did have a bit more screen time as opposed to Hank Harvest Mouse. So I think he should definitely be above there. Actually, you know what? Put him above Liz. That makes more sense. So yeah, I think that should be it for Sam for now. Let's move on to Samson. Samson, a villain from the Bulletin of Lies. This is probably the villain who... Basically, he's the guy who was supposed to be Toby's boyfriend, but then Vic swooped her off her feet first, and Samson wanted revenge against Vic for many years. So, yeah, we're gonna see how that works. But for now, the fact that he actually tried to have Vic expelled from school, he's definitely A tier. But he's not... Actually, you know what? I think for Samson, I think the fact that he kidnapped Toby, and I think he should be above Artov in B tier. So yeah, Samson. Next up, Sandy. One of the main henchmen from Lair of the Octagon, and of course the Glass Ruby. The fact that she and Krista work together, they definitely deserve to be next to each other in B tier. We've got Scheller. Scheller the dolphin from the Island of the Bunnies. So the fact that this character did show up was very supportive to Toby, but only showed up for one episode. I would have to say this character definitely belongs in probably the low B tier. So yeah, definitely the low B tier. Next, Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes from Stranger Than Fiction. The fact that he did show up in this season, the fact that he did assist Doctor Who in the battle against Myra, definitely means he deserves to be there in the tier. So I would say put him at the top of B tier. Definitely next to Matt. Because yes, he does know how to carry a gun. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We've got the Queen here. Queen Sinalta. Exposition dump. Alright, let's move on. We got the Ant Queen. So, we got the Ant Queen. Basically, she threatened to have Toby killed unless the ants go after Carl Strombone. And yeah, the fact that she is a threatening character, but not as threatening as the teachers, she would definitely be B tier, but definitely above Lauren. Okay, next we have Atar, friend of Axar. Exposition dub. Let's move on. We got the boss, the beaver boss. So the beaver boss actually tried to have Toby sawed in the episode The Tree Troubling Trek. And the fact that he actually did send his goons to commit murder definitely means that he is a foe, but he's not a foe to do things himself. So the fact that he did that, I would definitely put him probably next to Mr. Twilly in B tier. Okay, Sister Mary. Sister Mary, she definitely helped Toby a lot in the Toby Robin series. Definitely helped Toby when she was in a bit of a pickle. Unfortunately, she did swat her a couple of times and berated Vic a few times as well. And because of this, I'm probably going to have to give her probably the lowest of the A tier. She is a supportive character. She is very helpful, but you know what? I think she should be above Nancy. So, yeah. Okay, so next up, Brother Horace, the original principal of Sacred Heart, as well as a twist villain from the episode Beware of Room 301. So, this character was involved with a diamond smuggling ring within Sacred Heart Elementary School, tried to have Vic kidnapped to ensure that he never tells the police about the whole thing. I'd put him next to Samson, to be honest with you. But actually, you know what? I'll put them both below Artov, because Artov carries a weapon. These two do not. So, but at least now things are starting to make more sense here. Okay, next up, Toby's mother, Caitlin. Caitlin, very supportive mother, very supportive sleuth in Katie stuck in the 1800s, because instead of Toby, we got Caitlin, who was very young at the time, taking on a mystery of her own in finding her lost brother, and of course finding who murdered her father. So the fact that she was there, and the fact that she was also very supportive, but she didn't really have much story time of being a sleuth as much as Katie and Olive, but the fact that she did show up most of the time as a supportive mother, she definitely deserves the A tier. Okay, next we've got Cedar Sawyer from the new episode Woodlet Chasers. Spoiler alert, this episode has not come out yet, and yeah, she has been a supportive character. Definitely helps Toby at the end with the growing of the gardens. So I would definitely put her in, definitely above Karin. So yeah, I would definitely put her in B tier. Cheryl Everfree, another character from the Woodland series. You may think that she's a villain similar to Elsa from Frozen, but actually she did attempt a rescue mission to save Melrose and the other characters from tyranny in the Woodlands. So because of this, well, she has earned herself a hero spot, and because of this, she's definitely going to be earning herself the role of, unlike Sherlock Holmes, she has magic, and she knows how to freeze stuff to paralyze them, probably permanently. So the fact that she can actually commit murder with ice, it goes to show how powerful she truly is. And because of this, she definitely deserves the top B tier spot. Alright, next, Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was involved with the robbery of the adventures of Jason Bryant. The fact that he and 88 Teeth were involved together, they should definitely take the spot together. So there you have it. We got 88 Teeth and Snake Eyes together in B tier. Yeah, let's move on. Okay, so next we got a character who looks like Princess Rosalina, but actually her name in the Toby Robin Adventures is Stephanie, the French girl. So she showed up a couple of times in the Lair of the Octagon and the Glass Ruby. So the fact that she showed up was very supportive, slightly as supportive as what's her name, Erica. I would definitely put them together. Okay, next we've got Susie Glass. So Susie Glass did show up in a couple of episodes of Toby Robin Adventures, specifically the Jenny LeClue crossover, where she unfortunately ended up being kidnapped, and the fact that CJ, the character next to her, they both shared similar amounts of screen time, both being captured by the Hair Doctor and Gottfried, and the fact that they both shared the same screen time together, and the fact that they were both helpful at the same time, I would definitely put them both next to Penny Gadget in B tier. Countess Bathory. Countess Bathory. She was a twist villain in one of the episodes. I believe it was Feast of All Saints. She was a twist villain in that. And of course, it was also the big debut of Lars Beckard, who was basically the hitman of that show. So basically, the fact that she showed up, the fact she ordered the hit, but didn't carry out the whole thing herself, I definitely put her next to Mr. Twilly. Alright, let's move on. Captain Blackmore. Captain Blackmore, the one who made Terry walk the plank, got drunk on booze and alcohol, and also attempted to murder Terry on the pirate ship, and of course caused Terry an injury. The fact that he did all of this, all within a span of one episode, definitely shows that he's definitely above the Beaver Boss. So yeah, he definitely belongs in B tier. Miss Tabby, the villain. Miss Tabby definitely tried to have George killed. If you actually read the George Grayson stories, you know that she is a reoccurring character in the episode. So the fact that she did attempt murder, she definitely belongs above the Golem in B tier. So yeah, she's definitely up there. Alright, next we have this other elf. What was her name again? Ah yes, Tammy. Exposition dump. Let's move on. Okay, so we got this teacher here. This is teacher number 2. Similar to teacher number 1, she was also involved with drugging the junior detectives, so they should be next to each other in B tier, basically. Okay, Captain Mogulin. Captain Mogulin was involved with Peril of the Princess Guards. Actually tried to have these 3 murdered. So, because of this, I would say Captain Mogulin is definitely up there. However, not as much as he's supposed to be. I would definitely put him above Narc. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll put him above Narc. Because at least he had henchmen to actually support him in the whole thing. Okay, next. Danger Recycled's Captain Morgan, the chief of police for a very long time in the Toby Robin Adventures episode. Yeah, he became a twist villain in the season 5 debut. So the fact that he showed up, the fact that he was involved with the whole kidnapping of Olive Cooper, and the fact that he did do a lot of harm to Olive Cooper, I would say he's definitely below the Ant Queen. Because obviously he had people doing the dirty work for them. Next, Croco from Reptilian Brotherhood, the episode of the snakes and the crocodiles. So, if you were to put 2 reptiles against each other, obviously the crocodiles had the edge as Stanley Swampsnake and his fellow snakes were captured at the time. So because of this and the fact that they wanted to get rid of the swamp snakes in order to claim the land for their own, Croco should be above the Ant Queen. So yeah, we have Croco, who is above the Ant Queen in B tier. Alright, next. Terry Blair. Terry Blair, Toby's best friend. And ladies and gentlemen, she has been a staple since the very beginning of Toby Robin Adventures. The fact that she shows up in almost every episode, and the fact that she is voiced by the same voice actress since the very beginning of Toby Robin Adventures, definitely shows that she is a very supportive character. And the fact that they helped each other out time and time again, definitely a S tier character. So this is definitely the first character, the first supporting character to have an S tier rank. Next, let's move on to Dean Strasberry. Dean Strasberry obviously was there for exposition dumping, so unfortunately for him, we'll have to put him next to Atar. Okay, Diana Alder, also known as the Huntress, basically was going after Felicia in the new episode, the Woodland Chasers, and the fact that she did agree to help Toby with the garden at the end of the episode, I would definitely have to put her next to Cedar. So, yeah. Next, we've got Tim Bray. Tim Bray actually was involved with the deletion of the King Cane, basically the candy cane episode. He actually ate the candy canes and also provided some exposition dumping. However, the most helpful exposition dumping, and because of this, and because of the nature of this character, he definitely belongs at the top of... he definitely belongs next to Keith in B tier. So yeah, he's probably the only character who does exposition dumping, but he also actually deletes the character from the episode by simply eating him because, King Cane is a candy cane, and of course candy canes are meant to be eaten. Alright, let's move on. Dr. White. Dr. Remus White. Unfortunately for this character, he was the stepfather of Vic in Toby Robin Adventures, and unfortunately for him, he was murdered by Lars Beckard. So because of this, unfortunately, he was killed off, and the fact that he did unfortunately provide some exposition dumping, I'm gonna have to put him at the bottom of D tier. Bob, I think I'm going to switch him up. I think I'm going to put him underneath Chula, because Bob only showed up for a small portion of the episode. Chula showed up for more screen time. Okay, next. The Dragons. So the Dragons is a very interesting character. These characters are reoccurring characters from Virus AI. They showed up more times in Virus AI than they did in Toby Robin Adventures. Their leader, Dragon Ranger, is actually the leader of this syndicate. You will see Dragon more often in Virus AI, leading up to his death in Journey Through the Internet. So the fact that these characters do make their presence, and the fact that they are armed and dangerous, these were the first enemies to show up in episode 1 of Toby Robin Adventures. The fact that they're that insidious and the fact that they are malicious, definitely be above the Daleks. So definitely B tier. Put them above Sherlock Holmes, because they do have a lot of presence. They have appeared multiple times, and there's different forms of that specific character. So because they are much more insidious than the other characters. So I think they should be above the Specialist, because they actually have fired their weapons, they have attempted to kill, and they are armed and dangerous. Pirate Tim Jenkins from the pirate episode, The Island of the Wolves. Basically, he tried to have Toby kidnapped, was trying to get some treasure for himself. Yeah, basically standard kidnapping stuff. Not really much to say about that. I'd put him under... Yeah, I'd put him above Wolfad. So let's move on. The Girl of the Hour. Toby Robin O'Keefe. Toby Robin, basically the sleuth. And it's funny, Vic... I never actually released this, but Vic actually sang a song about Toby one time, even though it has never been revealed in any of the episodes. And this is how Vic sings it. Toby Robin O'Keefe, me Toby Robin O'Keefe, Toby Robin O'Keefe. So yeah, Toby Robin O'Keefe, the staple of the entire series, the main sleuth of the hour, and the fact that she had majority of screen time, the fact that she solved almost every mystery in her belt. I'm just gonna say it, I'm pretty biased, S tier all the way. So yeah, Toby and Terry definitely share the spot, S tier. There we have it. Okay, so with Toby out of the way, and let's move on to our next character. I believe this is Aaron. a member of the gang from the Glass Ruby and Lair of the Octagon. I'm just going to put her with all the rest. So, yeah, that's pretty much there. Okay, next we got Tommy Jarvis, which is the son of Mr. Jarvis, and also Jessica Jarvis. And, yeah, his job was to basically tie up his mother so that Pendergast can make a deal with Mr. Jarvis and threaten him. So the fact that he showed up pretty much as a henchman, yeah, I'll probably put him below. No, I'll put him above Wolfad. So he's definitely a B tier character. Okay, so next we have Tracy, which is basically a friend of Deanna. So Deanna and Tracy, they both go together like two peas in a pod, and because of that, they both deserve the A tier spot because of the amount of screen time they shared together, the amount of adventures they've been together, and the fact that they've been very helpful to Toby. Deanna and Tracy both take the same spot. Okay, so next we have Fawful. Fawful showed up for basically exposition dumping, tried to betray his master by putting her in quicksand in the Quicksand Chronicles. Because of this, Fawful definitely goes in D tier. Next, let's move on to what was her name? Trixie Belden. Trixie Belden, who made an appearance in Stranger Than Fiction. Trixie Belden did a bit of work in Toby Robin Adventures. Not as much work as we thought that we would see. Did provide a bit of exposition dump, and yeah, I would say she's probably below Charlotte. Let's move on. Felicia the Tiger. Basically the character that Diana Alder has been hunting, and she was basically hunted throughout the entire episode. So the fact that she was hunted, but the fact that it gives Diana Alder a purpose, I would definitely put her in B tier, but I'd put her above Alexandra. So Felicia is definitely there. Alright, Vanius, the other gargoyle. Unlike Wolfad, who is the villain in Terry and the Kingdom of Stone, Vanius actually tried to assist Toby in their adventure in the Kingdom of Stone. And because of this, Vanius did earn his right to take his spot. So I would say Vanius would be definitely above Keith. So there you have it. We got Vanius here. Next, Velma Dinkley from Scooby-Doo. She made her appearance in the Stranger Than Fiction story arc. The fact that she did do a bit more than most of the characters, I'd definitely put her above Paula Polestar. Yeah, I think I'll put her above Trixie Belden, actually. So yeah, now it's starting to make more sense. Okay, next up, the mysterious one, Vic Das Karozlov. There is a lot of stuff that is still not known about this character. The fact that he showed up mysteriously with a scarecrow yeti to assist Toby, and the fact that he did help Toby a couple of times before they finally met in the sinkhole. I mean, Vic did show up. I believe it was a previous episode, but the fact that they actually met for the first time in Sinkhole and have been inseparable ever since, I'd say Vic definitely deserves a high tier rank. However, I would have to say Vic still has a few skeletons in his closet, in the sense that he was involved in the Battle of St. Francis of Assisi with Dennis, Matt, and the fact that they were armed to the teeth with guns, and the fact that Vic unfortunately did kidnap Toby one time to prevent her from being caught in a crossfire because of this. I would say Vic is definitely up there, but not as up as Toby Robin. If I were to do anything with this character, I would put him up in A tier next to his arch nemesis Makarov. Because let's face it, these two have had a big rivalry together. They've fought each other multiple times. And mind you, Vic, similar to Makarov, they both also made an appearance in Virus AI as well. So if you watch Virus AI, I believe it was Virus AI 3 and Virus AI 4, and then I think it was Virus AI 6 or 7. I forget which one it was, but Vic was involved in most of the Virus AI stories. So the fact that he did show up more in Virus AI as much as Toby Round Adventures, Vic definitely deserves the A tier spot. Okay, let's move on to Frank O'Keefe, the father of Toby Robin. I would say this character, he is supportive. He does do a couple of odd things now and then. And, he's not as active as his wife. So, for this reason alone, I'm probably going to have to put him in C tier. So yeah, Frank O'Keefe in C tier. Next, let's move on to the next character. For the next character, we have Gravel from the Island of the Bunnies. He was pretty much a henchman who was involved with throwing Toby and Terry into the water, thus attempting drowning. So because of this, and the fact that they were willing to spend an episode trying to do that, they definitely belong higher than the Golem. So yeah, definitely higher than the Golem, B tier. Actually, you know what? On second thought, Scheller definitely deserves a tier change. So for tier change, I think I'm going to put Scheller in, because although Scheller was helpful, did provide exposition dumping, she actually did assist Toby, but only in one episode. So definitely C tier. All right, Greg. Greg from The Plain Truth. So this is an interesting character. So similar to Karine, is he a villain or is he a hero? I mean, he has a crush on Piper, which has been confirmed. He hates Katie. He actually tried to torture Katie a couple of times. So you think for one moment that it could be a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. So because of this, he's definitely up there. So I'd probably put him at the bottom of A tier, because the fact that he did have a story arc and the fact that he had this mentality the whole time. So yeah, definitely I'd put him at the bottom of A tier. But actually, I'll put him above Nancy. Actually, you know what? On second thought, I'll put him above Vic, because he actually did use a plane. Put him next to Mr. Jarvis, because they both have the same amount of power as far as airplanes are concerned. Okay, next. The Grim Reaper showed up in only one episode for, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, exposition dumping. And what do you know? We're almost at the end of our tier list. Okay, next. Imp. Imp. Basically, one of Alan's characters. So Imp has been very involved with the pranking of most of the characters. And the fact that she and Lilim have teamed up together time and time again, causing trouble to Toby and her friends, and what have you. I would say that Imp and Lilim both deserve the S tier rank. So I'd definitely put Imp right here. Once it's Lilim's turn, I'd put her above Imp, since she is the ringleader. Okay, Jenny, the Hostages on the Moor episode. She was a bit of a nuisance in majority of the episode, and the fact that she does show a bad example to Toby in the sense that she does sometimes light a cigarette, which is not good for your health. I would say definitely B tier next to Alexandra. Okay, next, Jessica Jarvis. Basically, the one who was trying to take the flight school from Piper in the Plain Truth episode. So this character has made her appearance in majority of the story arc, and the fact that she was definitely a villain. However, I'd put her above Captain Mogulin because of how dastardly she is in trying to seize the company that was supposed to rightfully belong to Piper and what have you. Okay, Brother Judge. Brother Judge showed up twice in Toby Robin Adventures, but his job was pretty much to basically deliver the sentence. So, yeah, you would argue exposition dump, but he showed up twice, so I would put him slightly higher. I would put him definitely right here, D tier. Julie Leclue. Jenny's mother. Let's see here. She is supportive. However, we've seen her rarely, so I think I'm going to put her next to Danielle. Okay. Karen Schneider. Basically, the character who's had a lot of trouble with Toby and secretly has a crush on Dennis because of the Hero's Tale episode when Karen was saved. Basically, for her, she's a very supportive character, had a story arc of her own, and the fact that she's willing to do everything in her power to help and possibly cause misery to Toby and her friends. Yeah, she definitely deserves, I believe, definitely the B tier rank. And yeah, I put her above Karin because she has more presence, she has more story time. And yeah, let's move on. Okay, so next we got King Kane. King Kane, the main villain of the Candy Cane episode. So this guy basically wanted Vic. No clue why. He never mentioned his motivation. So he's probably the worst villain in the Toby Robin Adventures episodes. So because of that, he would probably be very low rank. He would probably be in he would probably be next to Abby. So definitely a C tier character, Mr. King Kane. King Kong, the one who kidnapped Terry, brought her on top of a tree, and did everything in his power to keep Terry away from the other characters. Yeah, I would say this guy is definitely a troublemaker, and unfortunately they had to shoot him down. So because of this, the fact that he wanted Terry, brought her all the way up to a tree and attempted the whole King Kong recreation of the movie, yeah, he's definitely a C tier. Lars Beckard, the hitman. He's definitely armed and dangerous, and the fact that he has shown up in a couple of episodes, and the fact that he is a skilled marksman responsible for the death of Dr. White and for the kidnapping of Vicky Hanover, I would say he is definitely dangerous, and the fact that he has shot and killed definitely shows that he is much more dangerous than Specialist Old Man Jenkins. So yeah, he's definitely up there, A tier. Lilim, the ringleader of all pranks in Greendale, along with her partner Imp, definitely responsible for the masks of Yusuku Jumba's mask, kidnapping Jody and Doris, taking them to their spaceship and pulling pranks on Toby, Terry, and everybody else. The fact that they tried to have them killed by throwing them overboard about 50 feet in the air. Yeah, you do not mess with Imp and Lilum. They are both electric together, and they both belong to S tier. Next, let us move on to Lily. Lily, a brand new character who made her appearance in Attack of the Robomaids. Basically, Lily, she's a troublemaker, and basically she goes to Mallory's house to attempt to steal her ice cream. But she is, of course, also a supportive character. She does assist with the battle of the Robomaids, and because of this, I would definitely put her above Jenny LeClue. So yeah, the fact that they're both brawn, the fact that they're both fighters, and the fact that they're both willing and able to shut down Robomaid, hey, it goes to show that you don't mess with these two ladies. Alright, Margaret Wade, Toby's rival. Caused a lot of tension with Toby, specifically similar to Patricia Grant Thornwood with Terry. Yeah, Margaret has showed up in multiple episodes, and the fact that the fact that she and Patricia share the same motivation to both Terry and Jody, they both deserve to be next to each other. So yeah, both sharing the A tier position. Okay, Mary Fisher from Woodland Chasers. Okay, so she actually helped Cedar and Toby from drowning, so that was a very heroic move from her. I would say she did also assist with the garden, so I would say put her above Pete in B tier. Okay, next we have the troublemaker, Melrose. Or Melrose, depending on... Because the funny thing is, they're both named Melrose. So, this one is Melrose, and this one is Melrose. So, let's get that out of the way. So, Melrose is the prankster. Similar to Imp and Lilum, she is responsible for pulling pranks on Toby by setting the garden on fire, in hopes to get her to join her in the quest to kidnap Cheryl Everfree. Because of her nature in pulling pranks and the fact that she is a main star in her own game, which is Woodland Chasers, she definitely belongs in S tier. So yeah, she has her own video game, Woodland Chasers, and the fact that she did help Toby and also pulled pranks against her fellow friends, yeah, she's in S tier position. Alright, Agent Melrose from Sword Art Online, who does also make her appearance in Woodland Chasers. She basically acts as the character who is supposed to help save Toby and Melrose from Rena Ribbon. So the fact that she shows up, but the only thing is she is not as powerful as Cheryl. So I would give her probably... She does do a great job in holding her own against Rena Ribbon. But her powers have not yet been known. So we'll have to see what happens. Mike Ludwig Bowser, unfortunately similar to Bob, exposition dumping, so I'll just put them next to each other. Mike Ludwig Bowser, however, has had more episodes in the fact that he did host a game show of Russian roulette in the original Axum Rangers X series. So the fact that he had more screen time, but he did show some exposition dumping in hosting a game show. Yeah, he's definitely next to Bob. So let's move on. We got Mr. Snowman here, who is the narrator of the Christmas episode. Basically, his job is to just narrate the episode. So, yeah, D tier. Only because all he did was just provide exposition, narration, and what have you. Miss Fitzgerald, Jody's mother, definitely showed some concern. Not as much concern as we had hoped. but she is a supportive character, so I would put her at C tier. Alright. Guest character, Nikki Yanofsky. She sang the national anthems multiple times in both Virus AI, Axemarangers X, and Toby Robin Adventures in that one episode, The Quicksand Challenge. Because of that, she definitely deserves... let's see here. She deserves... Because she sang the national anthem and it's very important. Definitely... I'd say put her in the middle of C tier. Okay, next. Piper. Piper Merriweather from The Plain Truth. She was a very, very, very supportive character. Flew a plane. Tried to dogfight with Mr. Jarvis. And, yeah, she held her own against basically all the villains that she went up against. She is definitely up there in the tier list. Definitely, you do not want to mess with Piper. And the fact that Piper does have her own aircraft, I'd put her next to... Yeah, I put her next to Greg, because they're both equally dangerous. Alright, Pendergast, the main villain from The Plain Truth. Let's see, what tier would I put this guy? Let's see. Kidnapping, flying a plane. He can hold his own in a dogfight. The fact that he threatened to kill. Let's see. I would put him... So, yeah. I'd put him above Miss Tabby. Under the Daleks. So, yeah. Let's move on. Preppy Marshmallows. Preppy Marshmallows. Very supportive character. Showed up multiple times. She showed up, I believe, 3 or 4 times. Once in Yusaku Jumba's mask, and 2 in her own episode to replace Toby. The fact that she has solved mysteries by herself means that she is a very, very, very supportive character. In that regard, she deserves the A tier position. So I'd put her definitely next to George. She definitely belongs next to George. Alright, Rob Donovich, CEO of Microsoft. He's probably shown up more in Virus AI. He was pretty much there for the CrowdStrike outage episode. And yeah, his job was unfortunately to provide some exposition dumping. However, he did provide very helpful exposition dumping. So because of this, Rob Donovich should be probably at definitely the top C tier. Okay, next we got these beavers here. Specifically, this beaver actually has a name. I believe is Rocky. Rocky. So, he's definitely a henchman. This was the henchman that was involved with attempting to saw Toby. Unlike the boss, he actually attempted to grab the saw and attempted to slice Toby in half. So because of this, because of his direct nature to his violent tendencies, I put him at the top of B tier. In the sense that he does have the power to kill. Okay, next, we've got Santa Claus. Santa Claus... I'd put him next to Mr. Snowman because they both shared the same amount of screen time and they were both there for exposition dumping. So, yeah. Stanley Swamp Snake. You've seen him as a villain. You've seen him as a hero. And you know what? He is here. So the fact that he is here and the fact that he has showed up multiple times for Preppy Marshmallows, a couple times for Toby Robin, he is definitely a formidable opponent, and because of this, the fact that he did try to squeeze and claw his way to the top, he definitely deserves the A tier spot next to Vic because of how dangerous he is. Okay, so we got this guy, Stick, who was also, along with Gravel, responsible for throwing Miss O'Keefe and her friends overboard in order to attempt murder by drowning them. So they should both be in the same tier together. of B tier. We got these piranha plants, but in Toby Brown Adventures, they're called tendrils. So the tendrils have shown up multiple times in Toby Brown Adventures. Their goal is to squeeze Toby and her friends, similar to Stanley Swamp Snake. So because of this, the tendrils should be top tier with A. So yeah, basically the tendrils are involved with squeezing Toby. Stanley is involved with squeezing Peppy. So yeah. The Toby clone, the one who tried to kill Toby by drowning her. And the fact that she tried to impersonate Toby with identity theft in South by Southeast, another episode. So the fact that she showed up multiple times and the fact that she was willing to kill to become the genuine article, she definitely deserves A tier above Stanley. So yeah, Toby Robin O'Keefe's clone is definitely up there. Okay, now we have the Tin Soldiers. The Tin Soldiers were responsible to help Abby kidnap Toby, Terry, and Jody and Vic, just to make sure that they never get their presents on Christmas Day. Yeah, I'd put them in right next to King Kane. Vicky Hanover, the babysitter, she has shown up twice in Toby Robin Adventures. For her, I would put her probably above Erica in B tier. Okay, so next we have Gormish, the king of the goblins. Unfortunately, Gormish only showed up once. Basically had an argument with Narc on who was going to eat Toby. And because of this, I mean, he is a villain, but I'd say put him in, put Gormish in D tier. Jody Fitzgerald, the little redhead, and basically showed up for majority of the Toby Robin Adventures episode. Very supportive, very annoying to Toby because Toby's always trying to pull her away. So, I would say Jody is definitely a staple in Toby Robin Adventures because without Jody, Toby wouldn't have solved a majority of these cases. So, because of this, I would definitely put Jody in A tier above Clara. So, yeah, she's definitely above Clara. Actually, you know what? Put her below Clara because she and Preppy would be such good friends together. So, yeah. Lindsay Gray, the one who tried to drown Toby in quicksand. The one who finally made amends with her inside the elevator. And, yeah, I definitely put her in a B tier position. So, the fact that she was a villain and the fact that she did eventually show up to make amends with Toby O'Keefe later in the season, I definitely put her in B tier next to Wolfad. She definitely deserves this position here. Alright, Miss Blair. Miss Blair, very supportive character, has shown up twice so far in Toby Robin Adventures. Miss Blair, I'd put her next to Karine in B tier. Alright, let's move on. Odowa, the main villain in the Quicksand Chronicles. So, Odowa was basically the Quicksand Queen, basically tried to drown everybody in quicksand in attempts to kill. And because of this, because of the nature and all that stuff, Ottawa definitely belongs in A tier, next to the Swamp Snakes. Okay, next up, we've got Penny Elwood, the shaman of the forest. Basically, her job was to grow as many trees as possible, until, of course, Melrose knocked her out with an apple. And so Penny sent her tendrils to do her dirty work. So because of this, I would say Penny is definitely up there. She is a formidable foe. She has her own tendrils to do her dirty work for her. So I'd put her next to the tendrils because they make sense. They go perfect together. Okay, next, Rena Ribbon. Rena Ribbon basically kidnaps everybody from the Wooden Realm just to have her birthday party every year. And because she's lonely, she wants to kidnap everybody, and she just wants to have a birthday party. A forced birthday party, might I add. And the fact that she's willing to go to great lengths to have these types of birthday parties where you play pin the tail on the donkey, where you are the donkey, it goes to show that injuries can happen. And so because of this, Rena Ribbon definitely belongs in a high B tier. She can cause harm if given the opportunity. Scott R. Otter. Basically, he has provided exposition dumping, but he probably provided the most exposition dumping. So, yeah, I'd put him probably above Mr. Mullen because he was very helpful to prepping marshmallows a couple of times, although he was also a bully at the same time. So actually, you know what? I think he's definitely going to be under Alexandra. So definitely in B tier. All right, Cacletta. The one who drowned in quicksand. This was a backstory, so definitely put her next to Dr. White. Okay, Carl Strombone. The villain responsible for attempting to take down the Ant Kingdom so he can build his own megapocalypse. So, yeah, he was a formidable foe, especially to Vic and Artoff, and the fact that he was willing to commit ant genocide literally goes to show that you do not mess with a character like him, but the fact that he got his guards to do most of his dirty work, I'd put him next to Penny. Next, we have the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs have made 2 appearances so far. We've had Pete, the Minotaur, and then we had a real Minotaur in Toby Robin Adventures. I would put this character mostly in a C tier position because, I mean, the Minotaur was just there to be put to sleep in the episode Harlequin of Hell. So, yeah. Then we have these aliens. These alien characters, they pretty much showed up for the finale of Mystery of the Moonraker. They have showed up a couple of times in Virus AI, however, I'd put them definitely in D tier. Okay, Scarecrow. Scarecrow the Yeti. He's made more of an appearance in Virus AI. He's only appeared once in Toby Brahman Adventures as the creature in the cave to assist Toby in helping her and Terry escape. And the fact that he was that helpful, and the fact that he was summoned by Vic. And fun fact, one thing I never actually told you guys, if I were to team up with a studio to actually animate Toby Robin Adventures, something funny that I would mention, I would dress Vic up in his debut as an altar boy. Because, I mean, you would see him basically with a white robe, very mysterious. You'd argue that he looks like a ghost, basically. And he's pretty much just there to help Toby. So, yeah, I'd pretty much picture him with a white robe, very mysterious, and he looks like an altar boy without any religious symbols on him. Anyway, Scarecrow, very helpful. I'd put him definitely above Penny. Actually, you know what? No, I'd put him below Charlotte because he only showed up in 1 episode. Macaulay, belonging to Meowie Makes, she made a cameo appearance in Terry and the Kingdom of Stone. She pretty much acted as a comedy boss, so she was there for a boss fight, but basically all the characters escaped, and Macaulay wasn't happy about it when Jodie disturbed her sleep, so because of this, and because of the fact that we managed to get Macaulay into the episode, and the fact that she is a funny character in Virus AI, and the fact that she also was helpful in the series, I'm gonna put her next to let's see, again, it's the fact that she's helpful in Virus AI. She does become a nuisance in Toby Robin Adventures during the battle to save Terry from the gargoyles. So because of this, I think I'm probably gonna put her I'm probably gonna put her next to Vanya's. And finally, we have the octopus. The octopus from the Ebony Island. So this was actually a boss that Toby and Terry had to fight. And this was the boss that was responsible for carrying the diamond ring that they were looking for. So because of the fact that this was a very dangerous foe, and although the fact that they only showed up once, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do a tier change here. I think I'm going to put Jeremy down here, put him above Mr. Mullen, and I'm gonna put the octopus. Yeah, that makes sense. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. This is our tier list for Toby Robin Adventures, seasons 1 through 5. So yeah, here's my tier list. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I'll try to put up a tier list for you guys eventually. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you would change. And I would love to hear your opinion. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for watching. Take care, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.